Derek Brunson versus Edmen Shahbazyan has been taken off the main card of UFC 248 and has been transferred over to the co-main event of UFC Fight Night Portland, Walt Harris versus Alistair Overeem. I don't understand this move. A lot of people are speculating that Darren Till might be on the card, but if I bring your attention to the UFC rankings, I don't think that's going to happen. Robert Whittaker was not able to make this card, you know? Jared Cannonier is injured and out of the Darren Till fight with a torn pectoral muscle. He's not able to make this card. Kelvin Gastelum just lost to Darren Till. Jack Hermansson's fighting Chris Weidman, and I keep going down the rankings. The only man available that would make any level of sense would be Omari Akhmedov, which arguably isn't the best fight, to be honest with you, and isn't a fight that I would sacrifice Derek Brunson versus Edmen Shahbazyan for. Omari Akhmedov's number 13 in the division, I believe, number 12. Darren Till's number 5. That means that sort of seems like it makes zero sense whatsoever, to be honest with you. I feel like Darren Till is looking for a guy that's going to get him towards a title shot. I don't believe Omari Akhmedov's the one to do it. I don't understand why they've moved the fight off the card. I really don't, because a lot of people brought up that, maybe because it's already a full card, if they move that one out, they'll have to fill in the spot with something different. I don't think that's the case, because UFC 246 had 2 early prelim fights. UFC 247 had 3 early prelim fights. UFC 245 had 3 early prelim fights. It has been a very long time since we have seen 4 fights on the early prelims, and I feel like we're about to be robbed of Derek Brunson versus Edmen Shahbazyan, and there is no replacement. I know it sounds crazy, but I feel like that's what they're doing, and it's a very good business move from the UFC, but fan-wise, that's a shitty fucking scenario, to be honest with you, because I wanted to see Derek Brunson versus Edmen Shahbazyan on the same fight card that Adesanya versus Romero was on, because it makes great story. If you can have a promo where 2 guys fought on the same card, and you can go back in Adesanya's career or Yoel Romero's career and say, look at this title defense he had, but who was this on the main card? Oh, it's the next contender that's now risen up. You know, like, I don't understand why they would do this. I don't think there's a replacement. I literally just think, and hear me out, one of Derek Brunson or Edmen Shahbazyan has a minor injury that's going to take a little bit of recuperating, but then they can get straight back on track at a much later card. I feel like that's what's going on here. I feel like one of these guys has an injury that doesn't pull them out of the fight indefinitely, but is going to take a little bit of recovery time, whereas they're not going to be 100% come March the 8th. I feel like that's what's happening. They've called up the UFC. They said, listen, I'm injured, but I'm not out of the fight. We can just shift it over a little bit. I need some little rehabilitation. I just need to get some things worked out. I'm not going to be quite ready for March 18th, or March the 8th, but I am going to be ready for Portland. And the reason why I say that is because it's a very long time. This is not the case of, they're not on UFC 248, so now they're on UFC London. They're not on UFC 248, so now they're at UFC Columbus. They're not at UFC 248, they're all the way in Portland. That shows me that this is a deliberate move to shift these guys over, and this isn't just make way for the other guys, because otherwise they just shift them over 1 week, right? If there was nothing wrong with either fighter, Derek Brunson and Edmen Shahbazyan, they've both been training for March the 8th. They're going to want a date closest to March the 8th. They're not going to want something a month away. I feel like nothing's going to replace this fight, and it really fucking annoys me, because UFC 248 was going to look like the best fucking card of the year. And now it's not. I don't get it, man. Don't move shit off the main card. That's why people buy the pay-per-view. They buy the pay-per-view on the quality of the main card. Do you want to know why? Because the main card's the only thing you sell as a pay-per-view. Everything else is free to watch anyway. Why is the only sacrifice coming from the main card? If you've got too many fights on the prelims and early prelims, shift something off those prelims and early prelims, not the main card to make space. I would be perfectly happy if Mark Madsen versus Austin Hubbard was on the main card of UFC London. That makes sense. Mark Madsen from Copenhagen, he last fought in Copenhagen. Copenhagen's an hour and a half flight from London anyway. Perfect. They're neighbours. Makes sense. I'm from London. That would be great. A lot of people know who Austin Hubbard is in the European MMA scene. But they could even do Beneil Dariush versus Drakkar Klose. Hey, Beneil Dariush versus Drakkar Klose. Want to be on UFC Columbus? Cool. Shift them guys off. But they've shifted off a great main card addition and also a saviour for if anything happens in the main event. Which is strange again to me. Which is really strange again to me. Why would they leave themselves out of options if Yoel Romero and Adesanya aren't there? Unless they had one man anyway, who has already claimed that he would be very willing to make weight as a replacement, is just going to be there, not even in a fight of his own, but just in the wings. And I think that maybe we're not going to see Darren Till have a fight on this card, but what we are going to see is Shahbazyan and Brunson moved over and Darren Till just brought in to make weight. I don't know. I feel like that's what's going to happen. It really does suck. We're going to have to put up with it. What fight, basically, from here on out is good enough to be on the prelims that is good enough to be on the main card that is on the prelims? That's what we got to find out, because we need a little bit of a reshuffle here. Main card, lose Derek Brunson versus Edmen Shahbazyan. The new feature fight is going to be Neil Magny versus Li Jingliang. Not the best scenario in the world, however. We'll have to make do with what we got. Still a decent card, don't get me wrong. It's better than UFC 247 and 246, let's be real. Neil Magny, Li Jingliang, feature fight of the card. Sean O'Malley versus Jose Alberto Quinones will now be second on the main card. What is going to open up the main card? What will fill in the gap? I believe what they should do is slide in Beneil Dariush versus Drakkar Klose. Both guys on streaks. They're not coming off losses. There's no awkward moment there. Mark Madsen's undefeated. I get that, but one fight in the UFC. Austin Hubbard, not the most promising of prospects, I'll be honest with you. Rodolfo Vieira versus Saparbek Safarov. Again, not the biggest names in the world. I feel like the only fight that they could possibly fill the place with would be Beneil Dariush versus Drakkar Klose, which, to be honest, would still make it a good main card. I'd pay for it. Drakkar Klose, I believe, is 5-1 in the UFC or some ridiculous shit like that. He's a monster. Okay, an absolute monster. Beneil Dariush, again, back on his winning ways after some tough losses in his career. Last beat Drew Dober, which now looks really good because Drew Dober just beat Nasrat Haqparast. Good wins. Beneil Dariush has been looking good. That should be on the main card. And as far as the early prelims, Movsar Evloev should be shifted onto the actual prelims. I don't know why he's on the early prelims. He's 2-0 in the featherweight division. He has entertaining fights. Let's shift him onto the prelims rather than the early ones. I don't see a replacement happening for Brunson versus Shahbazyan. I really don't, unless they want to make Darren Till versus Omari Akhmedov. Which, if you want to ruin... I don't know why they have this thing in the middleweight division of just cancelling out contenders every left, right and centre that they get a chance to. That did not make any sense, by the way. I'm really ill for some reason. I don't know what's going on. Every left, right and centre that they get a chance to. Whatever. It's shit, and it's really pissed me off, I'll be honest with you guys. Brunson versus Shahbazyan should have been on the main card. That's what people have already paid tickets for. But hey, UFC just finessed people once more. Hey, it's going to be on the main card. Whoops, on Portland. That's actually a really good strategy for a business to do, though. Hey, Damian Maia, Gilbert Burns is going to be on the main card of UFC Brasilia. Tickets are now open for business. Buy all your tickets. Let's go. Okay, you've brought your tickets. Oops, Maia and Burns on a different card. They could just do that with Conor McGregor. Hey, Conor McGregor's at UFC 248. Oh, no. He's the weekend after. Everyone buy tickets to that one. Buy tickets to that one. Oops, whoops, he's on the weekend after. Our bad, guys. Sorry. Oh, no, he's on UFC Columbus. Conor McGregor. Oh, everyone buys tickets to that one. Oh, UFC 249. Whoops. Our bad, guys. I don't get it. Fuck it, man. They could have us just chasing around fights the entire time. I think this really shows you what kind of power and what little liability the UFC has. You know? That's a very loophole in like a business. They're selling you something that's not there now. In any other business, you get a refund for that. You know what I mean? Like, if they're selling you a main card of Adesanya, Romero, Zanya and Jacek, Brunson, Shahbazyan, Magny, Jingliang, O'Malley and Quinones, you're buying for that. In no other business can, once you purchase something, the owner decide that maybe they're going to take out this thing that you bought. And you're just going to get the rest of it for the same money. Very... I don't know. I don't think there's a big conspiracy, but I'm just saying it could be open... You know, I'm open for ideas. But I feel like what the case is that Brunson or Shahbazyan, maybe Shahbazyan, because he's the one who's come out and said stuff about it and he never disclosed a reason. I feel like if it was Brunson who was injured and was looking to maybe extend the deadline a little bit, Shahbazyan would say, hey, Brunson just got a little injury, he's going to be back on track. But if it's Shahbazyan who's come out to get the interview, and he has specifically not said anything as terms of a reason, I think it's the fact that he is injured, and that he wants the card to be shifted back a little bit so that he can just get over this little injury and get back on track, ready to fight and be good in fight shape when the fight night comes around. That's what I feel like is happening here. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button there. Goodbye.